Hello, and thank you for joining us for another avian home adventure at Carolina Raptor Center. Today we are enjoying this rainy day with our spectacled owl, Estrella. Now, Estrella is usually one, when it rains, she sits out in the rain, she takes a nice little bath out in the rain, whereas our other raptors are hunkered down under their roofs on the perches where they can stay nice and dry. But not Estrella. Estrella loves sitting out in the rain, getting her feathers nice and wet. And part of that reason is because spectacled owls are found in the rainforest. We'll let a couple more people join us here and we can talk a little bit more in depth about our spectacled owl and the rainforest that she's found in.
This would be a good video to just kind of hang out in your house and bundle up and watch with the rain sounds in the background and hearing her little chitters. It's pretty relaxing.
It's also a good time for you guys to grab your lunches and eat lunch with Estrella. She got a nice chunk of juicy beef heart today for her meal. We feed our guys a wide variety of different types of meat. Today she gets beef heart. Other days she might be getting some mice, some chick, some quail, maybe a nice hunk of rat. All depends on the day. We try to give them a nice variety, switch things up a little bit. Plus, everything has their own nutritional values, so we want to make sure these guys are getting a well-rounded diet so they stay nice and healthy.
And doing that with the birds' diets really mimics the natural hunting cycle that they would go through in the wild. So they might not necessarily eat the same thing every day, so we want to recreate that on a nutritional level with our birds. So in the wild, spectacled owls could eat anything from rodents and lizards, which would be really common here for a lot of our owls, but they could even eat things like large insects. If you guys have seen like those large centipedes that are pretty creepy, and they can even fly after bats, so that's pretty cool. So they'll eat things more in line with the rainforest and what other animals live there.
So for those of you just joining in, again, this is our spectacled owl named Estrella. These guys are native to South America and they like to live in the rainforests. So rainy weeks like this, Estrella really thrives, sitting out in the rain, getting her feathers nice and wet, and enjoying the coolness of the weather.
So the rainforest has always been a really big topic of conservation. As we all know, the rainforest is depleting very rapidly, and it supplies the world with a wide variety of animals that live there, plants, many who have not been discovered yet, and also our oxygen, so it's very important. And that is the habitat of birds like Estrella. So there are some things you guys can do to really help with that deforestation. One thing we just learned about, which I think is so cool, is looking at where your coffee is coming from. So it's thought that now switching to shade-grown coffee is so much better for the environment. So coffee is grown in these large open fields, and those open fields have been rainforest land that's been cleared. And so by doing shade-grown coffee, those coffee beans are grown in the shade. It's pretty self-explanatory. But so they're not taking down land for growing that coffee. And so you can look for different cafes around you that get their supplies from shade-grown coffee sources. And you also can look on your packaging to see where it's coming from, seeing if it's part of a Rainforest Alliance and looking for those labels. So it's something really easy to do, just to look at where your food is coming from and know the source.
I don't know about you guys, but our entire team of bird trainers spend our mornings drinking coffee and prepping food for these birds. So coffee is a very important part of our daily routine, and learning about that was a really cool way that we can make a change as a team as well and really challenge each other to still enjoy the coffee, but be a little bit more aware of where we're getting it from. So Estrella is demonstrating how she uses different tools that are on her body. So she's using her nice strong talons to grip that hunk of meat and hold it down as she uses her nice sharp beak to rip up bite-sized pieces of food. Just kind of like how we eat a steak, you hold it down with a fork and you cut it with a knife to eat those bite-sized pieces. That's exactly what she's doing, just different looking tools that are attached to her body.
So it looks like we have a couple of questions. So one of which is, do they eat any plant foods?
Ooh, that's a good question. So with raptors in general, they do not eat any sort of plants. The exception being the Seriyama. Seriyamas are more omnivorous, and our Seriyama loves to eat blueberries and mealworms. But with owls, hawks, falcons, eagles, they all stick to a meat-based diet, and it's all meat.
And I can take this other question. Is that a heat lamp, and when is it used? Yes, that is a really good eye. So for some of our species that are not from the United States or are from colder climates, we can give them a heat lamp to supply them with heat. So when it gets really cold out here in the winter, we can turn that on, and they've learned to go to that area for a heat source, just to help them insulate a little bit better. But our birds are really great at insulating themselves. They have so many feathers on their bodies and so many different kinds of feathers. They have a layer that will really insulate them like a fleece jacket, and another layer on top that works more like a raincoat and lets rain just kind of bead off of them. You guys might be able to see some of the rain beaded off of her feathers, so she doesn't look super, super wet.
Normally on a rainy day like this, I walk in to go work her or go feed her, and she has the spikiest feathers. It looks like she's got the worst case of bedhead. But her feathers do a really good job at repelling that water, and it hasn't rained too heavily this morning yet, so probably by the end of the day she'll get some of those spiky feathers that are very, very goofy looking and entertain us all.
She's showing off her zygodactyl feet right now. So she can actually move one of her toes around to the front and have 2 toes in the front and 2 toes in the back. Typically, these birds will have 3 in the front and 1 in the back. And so owls can use that for a variety of different things. They can use it for climbing, just walking around, and also grabbing prey, as you're seeing here. Osprey are really famous for that as well because they're grabbing slippery fish. And she's just taking her time with that piece of beef heart, so.
Yes, yes. Finding all the best hunks to rip off. Now something you guys might notice too are how yellow her eyes are. If you've tuned in with other owl episodes, we have talked about their eyes. Owl eyes are so cool, and we love showing them off. So Estrella here has bright yellow eyes. And again, if you watched other episodes, you might notice our barred owls has those dark eyes. And so dark and light actually tell us what time of day these guys like to hunt. Now Estrella isn't the typical nocturnal hunter where they come out in the middle of the night to go hunting. She is more of a crepuscular hunter. And that means she likes to hunt during dusk and dawn. So she likes to hunt while there's a little bit of sun left in the sky, and use the sun to find her food a little bit there.
And Estrella is a spectacled owl. So they get that name spectacled because of those white ring of feathers that are around her eyeballs. So they look like glasses or spectacles.
We're trying to figure out what she's looking at. We're looking both ways. These guys have amazing hearing. So she might be able to hear something that we can't, and she's just trying to check it out. They mainly use their hearing to hunt their food, like most owls. And so when she looks behind her side to side, she often hears something that we are a little bit unaware of. But we don't see anything, we don't hear anything, so it's not too concerning. Alright, so we're going to give you guys just a couple more seconds here to sit and admire her. She's a lot of fun to look at. She doesn't look like the owls that you can find here in your very own backyards. So we'll give you just a couple more seconds before we click on out of here and leave her to finish her lunch. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate all of your support. Hopefully we get to see you in person very, very soon. So we'll see how that goes. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for joining us.